Hi guys, welcome back to the show and this week's movie review.
They created me, but they cannot control me.
Ghost in the Shell. Now, what do you get when you take Blade Runner and Matrix, even though it came out after the source material for this movie? You get the anime phenomenon that is Ghost in the Shell. Now, when this movie was first announced, all I could think about was Dragon Ball Z, Fist of the North Star, Guyver 1 and 2, Speed Racer, and Kite. All bad American versions of anime source material. So I have to say, like, my expectations were down here, so low when this movie was announced. But lo and behold, the trailer dropped and it looked amazing. Like, so much amazing that like they were seemingly gonna do faithful translations of a great anime. So expectation went back up here, and I can't wait to tell you guys what I thought about after seeing the movie. So first, let's talk about the cast. Now, normally I would go through like everybody that's a main player in this film, but let's be honest. The only person that we really care about in this film is Scarlett Johansson. She was the reason why the movie got greenlit. She's the reason why people are gonna go out and buy tickets for this film. And unfortunately, she was the reason for a lot of the negativity that went into this movie being released. Obviously dealing with the whitewashing thing that we've been going through with a lot of movies coming out with ethnic diversity and films changing, ethnicities of people, even though they're set in particular lands and certain cultures. But I will tell you right off the bat, she didn't really stand out. And the movie even goes so far to kind of address it throughout the plot and story of it. It makes sense when they explain it, but to be a little bit more faithful, especially for the people who are going to watch this movie because they were fans of the anime, it would have been better if they had cast an Asian actress, but I do get it. Scarlett Johansson sells tickets, and that was the way that they were going to get this film made. So, with that being said, that pretty much takes care of the cast. I mean, that was the main issue going in. So let's talk about what this movie is about in the plot. Scarlett Johansson's character is the Major, if you're a fan of the anime, and the Major is a cybernetic soldier, part of Section 9, if I'm not remembering correctly, and they're actually trying to track down a cyber hacker who can hack people's minds. Now, the plot of the film kind of changes as it goes along because it becomes more of a self-discovery for the Major, but I really don't want to go too far into that because this is a non-spoiler review and I want to keep those surprises to you guys when you actually see the film. So that's pretty much where we're going to start with the plot, and we get to move on to what I really like in these reviews and the goods and the bads. So the goods of this film is the visuals are amazing. So amazing. I mean, when you actually get to see a place set up a world so perfectly, you think about places like Matrix and like Blade Runner. I mean, those are the ones that really stand out at the top of your mind when you see this film. But when you're a fan of the anime and you can say, wow, I really feel like I am looking at a live action version of what that anime was representing and what that anime tried to set up. They do such a great job, from the buildings to the cars to the technology that's going on. It reminds you so much of the anime, and you don't feel like it's kind of like, they did that different or they were trying to be different. They were really trying to be faithful to what was going on in the anime. So I really appreciate that. So much so that they carried those visuals over into the action scenes. I mean, the action scenes sort of like they took all the great parts of the anime and actually you realize them on screen. So much you get giddy as a fan of the anime. You're like, oh my God, they're doing this scene and they're doing that scene. They're doing the scene when she jumps off the tower. They're doing the scene when she tracks down the dude in the in almost like the puddle of water in the city. Those are in the trailers. I'm not spoiling those for anybody. But when you see those scenes and other scenes that go on later in the film, you're like, wow, that is so cool that they're giving us those. Other things that I like about this film, I will say, like, the Major is going through a self journey. In the original anime, it's not really about the Major at the beginning of the film. It doesn't become about the Major to like the second half of the film, where it's dealing with the difference between AI and humanity. This one is more about her and her own self-discovery and who she is. So I do like that focus put on her because it made her more central to the movie as opposed to what the original anime was. So I think that's where we're going to stop on as far as what I did like about this movie. And I don't want to go on too much about what I liked about this movie, then I sound like a big fanboy. So I got to tell you what I didn't like in this film and the bads. So the bad to this film is that the overall villain is kind of weak. I will say that. Now, there's multiple villains in this film, and one of the villains is reminiscent of what we got in the original anime, but they added a second villain, which I guess tried to give more of a point to why the first villain existed, which is fine in a nutshell, but overall, that villain just didn't play out as well towards the end. It kind of left you like, that's it? That's so... a little disappointed in that. Other things that I was disappointed in is that the Major was never really a person who wasn't kind of self-confident and self-aware. This one, even my co-host made a joke. He called this Lucy in the Shell because her character seemed to be a lot like Lucy, and it comes across on screen because her character is disconnected, and it almost like Scarlett Johansson is doing what she did in Lucy for this character in this movie, which I wasn't really on board for, but I get why they were trying to do it. Like I said, it was a self-discovery journey, but I would have liked it if she wasn't as disconnected as she comes across in this movie, as she's trying to discover more about herself. So that's probably a personal one for me. Maybe it would come across better to somebody who's not a fan of the anime. All right. Other thing that I didn't like about this movie is it changes the meaning of Ghost in the Shell. Now, in the original anime, Ghost in the Shell, like I said, is more about, what's the line between artificial intelligence and actual humanity, somebody being a real human. In this particular movie, the shell is the cybernetic body, and the ghost is an actual brain. And now maybe that's them trying not to be as philosophical as the original anime was, but I kind of prefer the philosophical answer or the philosophical question in the movie versus just kind of like ghost brain inside robot is Ghost in the Shell. I liked it more along the line is that the ghost was your soul, and that's what made you human, and that's what made you a real person. So once again, probably a personal thing because I'm a fan of the anime, but I feel like I'm going to get too far into my actual personal likes and dislikes, so we're going to stop there as far as the bad. So, should you go out and see this film? If you're a fan of the anime, you definitely have to go out and see this movie. I don't have to tell you, you've probably already seen it 2 or 3 times by now. But if you're not a fan of the anime, if you're into cyberpunk movies, like if you're a fan of The Blade or The Matrix, you will love this movie. I will say that it is a little bit up and down with the pacing. Not really bad to where like long stretches, but there are stretches where they give you an action scene and you're really into it, but then they got to get into some more dialogue, kind of set up some people, and it kind of goes up and down a bit. I didn't find it as a fault because in the original anime, it's like that too. It's very slow at parts and then very fast at other parts, and it actually kind of gave us the same thing in the live action version. I knew that going in, basically from the live action version. It doesn't give you a big, long action scene like you really expect out of action movies, especially in sci-fi movies. This one is, like I said, it's kind of up and down. I mean, just know that going in. And if you are a fan of the anime, like I gave you guys before with the Ghost in the Shell thing, that's going to be a little different. And it's going to be a little bit different with the Major's character. A lot of faithful stuff to it. There's a lot of fan service for things, but there are differences. I think it's a good movie that people should go out and see just for the visuals alone. This movie is beautiful. It's beautiful. So, like last time, I said I was going to rate these movies on basically are goods or bad, pass or fail. This one gets a goods. It's an enjoyable film. Like I said, it does have flaws, but versus all the movies that I gave you at the very beginning, this is the first time an American version of an anime, of a Japanese anime, has really worked. I think this one did a really good job, and I can't wait to see a sequel. Alright, so that's all I got for this movie this week. We'll catch you next week. Take care.